I'm going to be discussing some challenges I faced, some challenges I faced for my placement project. And I'm not currently facing this challenge right now. I went through it, and it happened in the course of this week. So it was related to my first task for my placement, which was writing a blog post, as you can see here. It was for writing a blog post, like an introductory blog post that kind of introduces who I am as a reader, my reading interests, and just things related to that. So there was a lot of ideas that we had for this when we discussed in the meeting. We could have done like South Asian books that we wanted to read this year, and I'm saying South Asian because this is the specific genre that I lean towards, and that tells the audience public who I am as a reader, because I align with like South Asian literature, specifically Indian literature, because I'm Indian myself. So keeping that in mind, I wanted to write an article in that genre. But there was like a lot I could write about, and I didn't know how to narrow down my thoughts. So I finally landed upon like 2 or 3 South Asian books that I wanted to read this year. Because if I were to talk about some of the books that I read, I would have been writing a full-on review, and that would be hard because there was a word limit we had. The word limit was 500 words. And I still went a little over with this article. I went like 634 words. But the struggle I had with this was I wanted to do 5 books I wanted to read this year, but because of the word count, I had to narrow it down. So picking just 2 or 3 books out of 5 was really hard. I had this book in mind. It's by an author of a book that I recently read. This book highlights the story of 3 sisters during the partition of British India in 1947. And that's like a really big event in like Indian history. So, and another book was this by like a really popular author, Nisha Sharma. This book just really dealt with, it's going to deal with spirituality, Hinduism, just identity stuff. I haven't read it yet, obviously. But yeah, and there was this other book too. There's these 2 books that I also really wanted to do. But I knew that if I did 5 books, I wouldn't be able to talk about them much, and that would not be able to tell the readers who I am as a reader. So I had to go with 2 books, just 2 books. It was really hard to choose because I wanted to do two different genres. So I went with Independence and The Karma Map. And it really helped to just talk about 2 books. I could talk about both books enough when I stuck with 2 books, rather than going with 5 books and just having like 5 sentences per book, which really helped my first blog post play out really well. So I'm glad I faced the challenge and it came out of it pretty easily.